If you're watching on the simulcast right now, you see our next guest. He is the head coach of the Boise State Broncos in his 5th season. He has led them to 2 Mountain West championships, and a guy right now that has this team ready for tomorrow's game against San Diego State because of what it means in the rivalry. He's a Boise native. He played at Boise State. He's the first alum of Boise State to ever become the head coach of this program, which is a really special thing. Head coach Bryan Harsin here on the show. Coach, good morning. How you doing? Good crowd out here. It's pretty cool. It's my first time out here to Idaho. My first time to see the Blue Turf. And this is Boise State football means so much in this state and so much in the city. And you know this growing up. You know this firsthand.
Right.
When you were being considered for the Boise State head coaching job, I have to imagine it's one of those really redemptive moments where you realize, that just feels so good knowing what your road was to get there. What were the emotions when you were being considered for the job?
Sure. Well, number one, growing up here, being a part of this program as a player, a GA, assistant coach, and now the head coach. I mean, it's a special place. That's number one. And when my wife and I and family left, the goal was to come back. We didn't know when. We just wanted to be back. We hoped to be back in this position. And I think it all goes back to the people that we've been around, Dan Hawkins, Dirk Cutter, Chris Peterson. That's what's made it special. And a lot of people before that too. But this place, because you can come in here and get great people, you have a culture of winning, and you've got a special fan base and a special place to play. The blue means something to us. So when this opportunity did come up, it was a no-brainer. It was something that we had hoped would happen, and the opportunity arose, and we took advantage of it, and here we are. This is something that we don't take for granted. We love it here. It's a special place. We love the kids we have, the coaches we have, and everybody that comes through this program, I think will say the same thing. This culture in this place is special.
I grew up in the New York area, and I was working in Boston in 2012, and CBS Sports Radio was launching, and they were based out of New York, and they called me, and I'll never forget where I was when I got that phone call. I was at the ear, nose, and throat doctor in Cambridge getting an ear checkup, and I got the phone call. I said, I got to take this call, and it was going back home for a dream job. Right. Do you remember where you were when you got the phone call, hey, the Broncos want you as head coach?
Well, I wasn't in the doctor's office, all right? So I don't quite have the same story. I was actually in my office at Arkansas State, which is, that opportunity and being there was fantastic, and it's what helped us get to where we are right now. But I remember sitting in my office and talking to some people and trying to figure out, what's going on with Boise. And at the time, Mark Coyle was the AD. I didn't know Mark Coyle. He knew of me, I knew of him. And this chance to come down there and interview and be a part of it, and then they took a little bit of time afterwards, and it was just one of those things. It was really gut-wrenching, but I do remember sitting in my office, and I got the phone call, and he offered me the job, and immediately accepted it. And really at that time, I was thinking about my family and what I was going to tell my wife, because I knew how excited they would be. And so I got her on the phone and told her, and I kind of sat in my office and looked out there, because I really enjoyed Arkansas State. I love the people, I love what we were doing. And that was going to be difficult after a year to pick up and leave, but at the same time, just that excitement of coming back home to be a part of this and hopefully continue the success. It was a little overwhelming right there at that moment, but then the opportunity, the excitement, and knowing that we're coming back home was really exciting.
Boise State head coach Bryan Harsin joins us here from the Broncos shop at Albertson Stadium. You have worked for some amazing coaches. And that includes Chris Peterson, that includes Mac Brown. Mm-hmm. Do you ever coach? It's kind of like being a dad. You hear yourself saying things that your dad said to you. Do you ever hear yourself say something that Coach Peterson or Coach Brown said, and you go, boy, I'm becoming them a little bit?
I hope so. Between those two coaches in particular, I try to use as much that I've learned from Chris, as much as I learned from Mac, as I can. Because that was something that I felt like as an assistant coach, I was really in two of the greatest programs under Chris Peterson and Mac Brown, and I tried to do a good job of just shutting up and listening to them and what they had to say and taking their advice and watch how they handled situations. Chris has always been fantastic at preparation and making sure that every little detail, every single day, is not neglected. Mac was the most fantastic person with people. I've never seen a guy ever come into a room and just treat people and make everyone in that room feel so special. It's a hard thing to do. and he could always remember every single person, every single face, and nobody was ever left out. So, that's those are things that take time. I know that, but I've always just admired the both of them, and I'm grateful that they've been in my life, and I try to do things that I learned from them, try to do some things better, still communicate with them and take their advice in certain situations because they're really good at what they do. And I hope they're resources for a long time, and I can lean on those guys, and also hopefully do some things, with our staff and how we want to do it that might be a little bit different and hopefully better.
It is such a pleasure, I'm sure, to have a guy like Brett Rypien as your quarterback because he's got so much experience, he's such a natural leader, and he's obviously so talented. What have you seen is the biggest leap for him, the biggest jump for him from when you first got him to where he is now as the starting quarterback?
Well, he's so intentional about everything he does. Right now as a senior, everything has purpose. He goes out there and, for example, we're throwing routes on there. Well, in his mind and with that receiver, it's routes versus this coverage. It's imaginary coverage, but he's making it up. And it's so purposeful, and he practices that way. He's always been locked in since really last spring. And that's been impressive. I think that maturity, the years of starting, the things he's learned, where he's at right now is just at a different level as a practice player. He's at a different level when he goes out there and plays that way. So everything you're seeing right now in the games, he does it every single day in practice. And that's really hard to do. And I think other guys are following that, especially on the offensive side, the wide receivers in particular, because they're around him the most. They're seeing how he works, and they're trying to work that way. And I think that connection between the two has been really good. Now, if we can get that with the entire team, we'll be moving in the right direction. We'll be moving really well. But to me, that's something that, a few guys have that. I thought Cedric had that. I thought Leighton Vander Esch had that. And there's big guys on our team, and there's guys on our team right now that are doing those things. But really, when I watch him, it's impressive. He coaches himself up. It's really a pleasure to be around, to watch him work every single day. And I'm very proud of him. I'm ecstatic that he's on our team. He's doing the things he's doing. But everything he goes out there and does, he earns it. And that's what makes you proud, and you want to see him continue to do those things and support him that way.
Broncos head coach Bryan Harsin joining us here on the show. We'll finish off talking about tomorrow's game against San Diego State as we've kind of dictated over the last couple of hours. Boy, crazy things have happened in this series. In the last year, though, you guys dominated San Diego State in every aspect of the game, against the run, against the pass, how you guys ran the football, special teams. Was that the most complete game you guys played and coached all of last season?
Pretty close. Yeah, when you add everything in to how the defense played against a really good run team, that's one of the things they do best and one of the best in the country. And our defense, I thought, played physical. They played fast. They had a few runs on us. They made a few throws, but for the most part, we were very consistent on that side of the ball. Special teams were huge. We scored on special teams. We created field position. We won that battle. And then we scored on defense as well. I thought offensively we did run the ball. There were some things we could have took advantage of, maybe some more shot opportunities, maybe some things down the field that we could have hit. And we didn't, but we ran the ball. We were physical in that game. And probably the most impressive thing, our guys came to play. We were on the road. We had just gone back-to-back. We're off a bye week. We played BYU. We're back on the road again against San Diego State. They're ranked. They had some really good wins. And this was going to be a massive challenge for us. And these guys, at that time, were back-to-back champions in the Mountain West. So this was a great opportunity for us to go out there and shine and take advantage of it, and we did. And so I hope our team, we learned from that last year. That was 17. Now 18. We've got to do the same things. We have to go out there and play. We've got to be consistent in all three phases, and there's going to have to be something on one side, special team, not just offense, special teams or defense, where we create some momentum.
Head coach Bryan Harsin of the Boise State Broncos take on San Diego State here at Albertson Stadium tomorrow. We got so many great Broncos fans out here. Let's hear it for Coach here. Let's hear it for this program, this team right now. Got a big win coming up tomorrow. It means a lot that you took time out of your day to come hang with us. I saw your kids. We were here when it was pitch blackout, and it was like 5:45 in the morning. You got kids over in the weight center working out at that point in time. I don't know how you're doing it with college kids getting them to wake up that early, but nice job.
Yeah, well, they have to. Yeah, that's how we're doing it. Yeah, that's our blue blood group there. That's our young guys. That's our future. Yeah. And like anything else, we don't neglect that. We're developing those guys. And someday we're not talking about them now, but in a couple of years we'll be talking about those guys. That'll be the future. They're pretty good. Congratulations on all the success so far. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, thank you. Head Coach Harsin here on the show, hanging out with us here at the Broncos down at Albertson Stadium.